on, buddy?
Hello, this is attorney Irving Pinsky with my semi-regular news and comedy show and entertainment and worldly stuff and musings. Musings is the word for thinking out loud. And the world is getting into a whole bunch of little wars now. Not funny, but they are little. In the old days, 100 million people used to die. Now too many people die anyway, but we do have too many wars and we have to work it out. I was listening the other day. Now this is back in January. I was listening and I heard that in one day, this isn't funny, but it's hysterically obscene. In one day, Iran, which is really Iran, but everybody in America calls it Iran, but in other places it's called Iran. Iran bombed in one day. They fired bombs at Syria, which is a different country. They fired bombs at Pakistan, which is a different country and has nuclear weapons. And at the same day, they fired bombs at Syria, Pakistan, and also Iraq. 3 countries that basically had borders with Syria or close to it got bombed by Iran in one day. In one 24-hour period, which meant that it's just 24 hours, even though it may not be midnight to midnight. Can you imagine what's going on? How can one people start fighting them? On top of that, the week before, Jordan, which is another country in that neighborhood, bombed Syria, but they were bombing Iranian drug smugglers. This is all the same month, or the same 2 weeks or something. And like 2 weeks before that, Iran bombed Afghanistan, which is another country that they're next to. Can you count this? Can you count that? That's like the United States sitting there and bombing Mexico and bombing Canada and bombing Cuba and bombing Brazil and bombing one more. Pick one. And bombing England in one month. What's going on, Iran? Come on, make love, not war. All right. Anyway, I don't know what that's all about. All I know is Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and Pakistan. Those 4 countries, plus there's one more that are all having bad blood with them. And of course, Iran is also the country that supports Hamas, which is fighting with Israel every day, and the Houthis, which are fighting with everybody every day. They just fought a 10-year war with the other half of Yemen. 10 years they've been fighting. And at the same time, they were fighting Saudi Arabia, the Houthis, and then they signed an agreement, or they decided to do a little ceasefire. So now they started bombing the ships in the Red Sea, as though they didn't have enough after 10 years. There was 300,000 people killed. Over 300,000 people were killed there. And now that they finished that one, they didn't finish it, they signed a ceasefire or something. They started again with these other countries, all right? And these other countries are really big countries, like India, which has 1.3 billion people, United States, Britain, Kingdom of England. Now check this out. They have a new laser that they can fire that takes those drones and missiles right out of the sky for like $10 or 10 pounds. And they come from electricity. So they don't have to bring in all this super expensive missiles. The United States has something like that, and Israel has something like that. It's called Iron Dome. That's not the same thing as, that's called Iron Beam. That's not the same thing as the Iron Dome, which is another thing that blows out bombs, missiles coming in. It's very different. This one is, the Iron Beam is a laser beam and goes poof. But I don't know which one's the best of all those 3 different countries. But it's a crazy world. So anyway, the Houthis are now starting up with Egypt, and which is 100-something million people, and the U.S. and England and Japan and Kingdom of England. Just what the hell? You just fought a 10-year war. Why are you starting up again? And on top of that, Iran is also backing Hezbollah, which has a pretty large, it's not a country, but it's sort of a rebel group in Lebanon. Lebanon is sort of half Muslim and half Christian. And they fought a civil war for 20, 30 years, bloody as hell. They were killing each other. And then that sort of ended, but Hezbollah took over the Lebanese Muslim side of it, and they're pretty militarized now, and they built a lot of tunnels too. So they've been bombing Israel because Israel was fighting with Hamas. So what happened is now they're getting money and guns and weapons from Iran. Iran is a Shia sect, part of Muslim, not the majority, but part of it. And they're helping Hezbollah because they're Shia. And the same thing with the Houthis in Yemen. And Hamas happens to be Sunni, so they're not really on Iran's side anyway, but Iran is backing them because they hate Israel more. Meanwhile, they're generally fighting with all those other Muslim countries I was talking about. Those other countries are Sunni. But Iran is fighting with, in one way or another, they're fighting with 20 countries at a time. And that's a shame. But they bombed 3 different countries in one 24-hour period, and hopefully they'll work it out. That's too much. Calm down, Iran. I remember they used to have something called Iranian hashish. Right? They used to sell it. That's why they bombed the drug dealers there for opium, not for hash, I don't think. But anyway, and they used to smoke it and calm down. In America, they smoked it and said, peace, man, peace. But that's too many people getting killed. So peace, man, peace, because I'm tired of watching the bodies on TV. Sick of it. Anyway, so here you go. Ready? All right. So, oh, by the way, I'm thinking about opening a legal referral business and a doctor referral business too. I'm thinking of opening them. I'm not opening them yet. But if you have any interest in helping me with it, or helping me with ideas, or I'm thinking of opening a free. That's a good word. Free lawyer referral agency. But not. I mean, it can't be totally free, but it's going to be free. So, like, if somebody has a Social Security lawyer that they need, because it's hard to get Social Security lawyers, they can call us, and if we can find somebody for free, then we might do it. Or if we can get, let's say, if we can make them a free referral for a divorce, because we know where the courts have free lawyers and stuff like that sometimes, or a lawyer who might want to do the work, or a lawyer who might want to charge for it, but the referral's free, which is good too, because there aren't too many lawyer referral agencies. But most of them charge $15 or $35. I'm not sure what the Bar Association charges to do referrals, but I think it might be $35. But either way, the word free is a good free for most things. Also, let's say you need a free referral for unfair trade practices. Let's say some business rips you off, where they just don't pay you the refunds, or your paychecks are getting shorted, stuff like that. Then you can call us when I get this going, and we'll send you somebody, and that might be a free referral, and there might be an attorney's fee law which allows the lawyer to collect anyway, but not from the poor person who referred it. So that's an interesting question too. But I'm thinking of opening a free lawyer referral. If you do need something, if you do want to help with that, or if you're interested in it, or if you have any ideas for me to use, because there may have been a company that made it work before, and I'd like to see it if there was. If there's something like that, if you're a lawyer who wants to help me with it, give me a call at 1-800-YES-FOR-LAW, 1-800-YES-FOR-LAW. I'm mostly a New Haven and Bridgeport, Connecticut lawyer. I do some in New York, and I've been around the world, so sometimes I'll go somewhere else, but generally I stay near home. But again, I can refer you to somebody in California or Hawaii or Thailand or Iran. I used to have clients from Iran when they were having the revolution there. That was a pretty big mess. When they had that revolution, that was 1978. How do you like that for a long time ago? Truthfully, I think I had the refugees who came from there. I still have a lot of Iranian friends, but I don't have a lot of friends who are in Iran anymore. Most of them died off or fled because it got pretty tough over there. They had a war in the 80s. 1 million people died. They were fighting Iraq. Man to man, face to face, they were fighting Iraq. I may have mentioned this on the last show. And what they were doing was they would come to a minefield that was full of mines, and they didn't want to get blown up. So what they did is they used to send little kids out on the field and say, go out there and meet God, and you can become a Allah. You can be a martyr. That was the word, martyr. And you can Google it. Iranian children, martyrs, suicide bombings. That's a little bit different. Suicide bombings is what Hamas used to do. They used to wrap the kids in a vest that was full of dynamite and stuff, and then send them into a store and tell them to pull the cord and push the button, and they would blow up and kill somebody with them. And they learned at a young age that this is so unbelievable that you got to Google it. Don't take my word for it. You can see the pictures. You can see the articles. They used to go in and kill themselves, and they were trained from a young age that the highest honor was to be a martyr for God, so that if you died in a mission like that, even though you were 5, 10, 12 years old, you would live at a very good level in the next world or something. I don't even like talking about that, but it just comes up because nowadays they're doing it again in a different way, and it just doesn't make sense. But I guess they believe it. So what do I know? But I'm against it. I'm against even talking about it. So I'm going to change the subject. So anyway, some of the subjects that I'm thinking about doing referrals on are I'm thinking about doing it is things like I said, Social Security, hospital visits. A lot of times in the hospital, you don't have good help. So I might refer the people to a volunteer. Sometimes the hospitals have volunteers, and some of those volunteers are very good. And if you get the right volunteer, they can teach you a lot of things, and they can help you get certain medicines you can't get otherwise, legally medicines, and they can help you get to the complaint officer in the hospital who might help you with a nurse. And even a lot of the chief nurses are fantastic. They'll step in and fix things right up for you. And they can also help you get to the chief of the departments in those hospitals. So that's a good thing for referrals. Also, board certified lawyers. We lawyers work within board certified rules and stuff like that. We get specialists. So if somebody needs a specialist or a lawyer or even a specialist doctor, we do research for that. That's the way lawyers actually get paid for that. They do research to find board certified specialists. If they get a good doctor with a good record, they've done a good solid deed. But sometimes, usually most of the guys just refer them for free. Don't bother. We don't bother. Accountants, board certified accountants are very important. You want to get people, if you have a new business or something, there's certain agencies that do things for free, and you can go to them and they might not even charge you. Or sometimes you send them to a real good law firm that does corporate law, real careful. That's really important. That's hard to find too, a law, and doesn't charge too much money. That's very, very important to keep the people, to go to the people who treat the people right. So if you need a corporate lawyer, I don't do corporate law, but I know a few because I'm in the business of law and I talk to people. So as a matter of fact, that's not a bad idea. You'll be able to call me then. I guess legally you can call me now too, but I'm not really looking for the business. But don't be afraid to call. I want to be friendly. All right. Also, chiropractors. A lot of lawyers refer chiropractors. Chiropractors, I do a show with Mike Barone, the chiropractor, and he's fabulous. He explains things to people on a different level. Dr. Chazanoff, I got to do a show with him. He's in Bridgeport and New Haven, and he reaches out and helps a lot of people. He even gets them free food sometimes, which really helps when they're desperate. But I can't bind them to that. Also, private investigators. Most private investigators won't work for the public because the public has misunderstandings and doesn't know how to work with them. But they will work for the public at one time or another. But sometimes you need a private investigator right away on a case to get real good pictures so that you know that the pictures are good in court. It's one thing to take clear pictures. It's another thing to take clear pictures that can be admitted in court when you have a trial, or that will scare the insurance company. Because if you don't take the picture from the right angle at the right time for that particular case, some people walk around taking pictures from certain angles all the time, but that's not right for every case. That might be right for most cases, but you got to find the right pictures for that case. I hope I'm not talking too fast.
All right, cut.
The producer asked me to say the same thing over in slightly different words and continue. He said continue, but so it might come out a little chopped up. But I'm sure the point is very important if he thinks it's important. Okay, lawyers often make referrals for private investigators on cases because they need to work with people who they know have experience in the right kind of cases. If you take an SEC private investigator, he doesn't know jack S about auto accident pictures. And the angles are all different all the time. That's the key. You need someone who's experienced in auto collisions because they know what angle to take it from. And if you take it from a certain angle, most of the time, that's the best picture. But there are certain things that lawyers and private investigators have to look out for to make sure that that is not the rule in all the cases. It's not the rule in this case. You have to change it for certain cases, certain types of cases, certain times of day, certain angles, certain types of cars, certain types of injuries. You change the angle so that it makes it admissible in court, and it makes it admissible in the insurance industry settlement negotiations. These are very, very important things. So when you refer somebody, you want to make sure that they do a lot of this kind of work. Otherwise, you're getting somebody who doesn't know the ins and outs. Also, private property rules, long angles, drones. We use drones a lot because they're phenomenal when you go over the skies and you get pictures from angles that you can't get. And as you know, nowadays drones can go from 10 feet up, 12 feet up, 20 feet up. You can really play with them and get the best pictures. I can't say I can do it because I can't even fly a drone, but that's why I hire private investigators and professional photographers to do stuff like that. But if you need referrals, I guess, I open my business, you give me a call, or if you want to help with me, you can call me now whenever you want. But I'm trying to do a service for the public. Also, one more thing, I do a lot of food for people who can't get food, and in the summer I do cold water and ice cream for people who can't get that. So if you want to help with that, that would help too. I'm not looking for donations. I don't take money for donations. I'm not a big money person. But if you want to help with and especially in Bridgeport, because we do New Haven, and everybody in New Haven knows that. But when we go to let's say Bridgeport or Stratford or Fairfield doesn't have too many people without food. But we're trying to get that down to a more systematic thing. In the summer, in some of these cities, you can walk around certain neighborhoods. You will literally find people, 80-year-old people in wheelchairs, lying back like this in the hot sun, and that sun got hotter. Hot sun, and they're asleep or they're comatose, and you give them some water, and you can see when they drink the water, you can see them like, this is heaven, sweet heaven. They're so happy to get it. That's a beautiful thing, and you know you've done a good deed because these people really needed the water. And then sometimes you call 911 or you call your friend at the ambulance or the police department, and they'll come by and check the person's vitals and medicals and bring the nurses. There are certain nurses who are outside specialists who go out and help people. They'll check them for diabetes shock. There's a lot of things they can do. And nowadays with all the new housing they're building and all the new conversions they're doing from office buildings to rentals, there might be a lot more units on the market for people who just don't have places now and are homeless. But to get those places is not snap. You got to know the right social workers and stuff like that. Referring to social workers would be a fantastic thing if I could do that. But right now I'm just not set up to do it too much. Oh, actually I am. But I'm, as I think of ideas, I'm gonna write it down because it really could help. You can really help the public when you try. You can really help the public when you try. That could be your motto, because there's a lot of good people out there, and you people that are good, you can't figure out how to help the public, just give me a call, and maybe I can fit you into somebody's system. So I was going to write this down. I feel better. Another good idea. Okay. Also, I have New Jersey here. The other thing is the laws in Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, New Orleans, Louisiana, they're all different. They're very different. So what happens is you might have one law that you've been trained on in a certain neighborhood for your whole life, and then you get a case from a different state and the law is different. But not only can it be different now, it can be changed so that it's even more different. I just sent a bunch of cases to New Jersey lawyers because they do this every day, and when they do it, they follow the laws that change in their home district. So you change them. Now these things are very important for free medical benefits, the laws that changed. Free medical benefits, and also the cars were towed, so you got to get the cars paid for, you got to get the storage taken care of. You have to know the laws when it comes to the rentals, where they screw you up with the rentals. All these things are different. And what if you don't get a rental? Then how much do you get per day if you don't get a rental? Or what if your car's not totaled, or if it is totaled? You have to make very difficult decisions. And of course, those decisions are made early in the case, and the insurance company might see you making decisions and saying, boy, this person really should have hired a lawyer. Because even while they're doing that, they're walking around in front of the TV cameras showing how healthy they are. Or when they're arguing with the insurance company, they're showing all kinds of energy, and they say, gee, that person's jaw sure isn't hurt. I don't think their neck's hurt either. And later in court, those things come into court. And the people who think that they have good cases, all of a sudden the jury's listening to them argue like crazy over some money and how they were screwed. And they say, that person doesn't sound that hurt to me. That person sounds like they got energy. you might want to call your lawyer first before you start doing all those conversations. That'll cost you a big case sometimes. Yep. Same thing with psychologists. They're hard to find nowadays too. I give free referrals to psychologists. I'll be giving out more. I do it now sometimes as a legal thing, just for courtesy. But I'll be doing that out more too. And nowadays with telemedicine, you get some real good people over it. And MyChart, of course, is wonderful. Everybody out there should learn how to use MyChart. I can't tell you, it's free and it works real well, and it helps you communicate. God bless you. MyChart's going to save a lot of lives. I actually know what I'm talking about. I've been in this business a long freaking time. All right, so these are good things to start with. Okay, you might take your own pictures at the scene, but after that, you better go to a real pro to get better pictures. Skid marks. If you don't get the right pictures of the skid marks, you might get the pictures of the wrong skid marks because those skid marks might not be your tires. Got to get the right pictures, the right skid marks, and the right angle. That just shows how complicated this whole mess is. All right, and sometimes people need skiing lawyers. The laws for skiing are different in many states. So you might get hurt by a skier, or you just saw they just lost the case against, who was it? I can't remember who it was, some super celebrity. Anyway, I think it was, I can't remember. Anyway, they just lost the case. They sued them for a long time. And then the court went to jury, and the jury said, get out of here, you lose. And they didn't do it right. And that's a shame, because they were hurt real bad. But then again, maybe they weren't. We'll never know, because we're not in it. All right, then also, if you need lawyers in places like Italy, Nigeria, Israel, Iraq, France, all those places, people call me, they need lawyers. Sometimes I can help them, sometimes I can't. But I'm not in the lawyer search business, but you're welcome to call me anyway. If I can help you, I'll help you. Can't wait. I'm beginning to think I'm really going to do this business, but I haven't done it yet. I was thinking of using the name Golden Gloves Lawyer Referral, or TLC, Tender Loving Care Lawyer Referral, or American Lawyer Referral. Some of those names are taken, but a lot of them have open websites on the domain name. I'm not recommending that you do it, but you're welcome to do it. I don't own the idea for a business. If you want to open a lawyer referral business, you're free to do it. You're not hurting me at all. You know, people need good lawyers. They need good doctors. They really need good doctors. Same thing with military lawyers. There's some military guys out there. There was a law firm in New Haven with 4 military lawyers. I think they broke up. I can't find them anymore. Real nice guy ran that. And they did almost always military law. But COVID I don't know if COVID shut them down, but I can't find them anymore. I used to send them my military cases. And yeah, that's the way it works. I don't know how many minutes we've done so far, but we're getting close. Also, civil rights, very important thing. Civil rights cases are interesting. So everybody thinks civil rights, oh, that's against the police. But it's also for people who have being discriminated against by their schools, at their jobs, at their by the EEOC or the CHROC. All these things are very powerful, interesting institutions, but when you get run over by them, it hurts because the word crunch shouldn't apply to human bones while they're still living. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
You got 10 minutes, though.
How many minutes did I do so far? Hello, okay, so we're continuing. I just want to say I was on Facebook today. By the way, you can reach me at Irving Pinsky at Facebook, or Attorney Irving Pinsky at Facebook. You can find me. And my phone number's there too if you need me. But check this out. So on Facebook, I'm friends with Sharday Houston. I don't know if you remember her, but when she was in high school, she set the record for the most points ever scored by a California basketball player, high school basketball player. Then she came to UConn, and she used to sleep in a car before she came to UConn. So one of her lines is, oh, the reason I started playing basketball was because I got tired of sleeping in a car. Her family was evicted. They were sleeping in a car. Now, Sharday was a power forward. She had a nice pro career, too. And she's living now with a guy, with a little girl, her little girl. And she's very avant-garde. She's out there. And she talks a lot about life, and she speaks very frankly. And her name is Charde space Houston. For UConn, she played power forward mostly, and then the pro, she played forward mostly. She's got real powerful butt, so she can box out real good shooter. and you can friend her on Facebook. I hope I'm not getting in trouble, but I don't think she's a shy and quiet kind of person. You can also buy her calendar for $150. I saw it today. So, but anyway, the point is, Shardy's out there every day talking. And also, UConn basketball, if everybody knows, basically is a top team in the country at the beginning of the season, and then they start getting hurt and they start going down the rankings because they lost. Right now, they have 5 injured players. 5 injured players. They have AZ Fudd, who was the #1 draft pick coming into college, the #1 recruit. She's out injured for the year. She had ACL. They have an Egyptian freshman who would be a sophomore now, sort of. She spent half a year at UConn last year. She's a freshman. She was out playing in China for an under 18 and under team for like the Olympic type of stuff. She was playing in China over the summer to keep in shape and stuff. And she's out for the year. She got injured for the whole year. And they've got Ayanna Patterson, who's a power forward, small forward, who can dunk nice. She's out for the year, Ayanna. And they've got Carolyn Ducharme, who's a top pick. She's up there number 3, 4, or 5. I forget where she'd be. Problem is she's out injured because she's had so many hits to the head that her head is in pain a lot. And she always has to wear ice. So she can't play, and they're afraid that it'll do permanent damage if she goes out and gets hit again. So she's out, maybe not for the whole year, but she's out for a while. And like Coach Auriemma says, it's better that she sits out now than gets long-term damage to the brain. And that breaks my heart because she's a 6'1", 6'2" guard who can shoot from way outside. Beautiful, wonderful player, nice young woman. She's out for the year. She's from Massachusetts. And Aubrey Griffin, who's a fabulous player. Her father's the coach at the Milwaukee Bucks, Adrian Griffin, and he was a famous player in the pros, and he was a famous player at Seton Hall, her mother was a great athlete at Seton Hall too, I think. And anyway, so Aubrey went out for the year a couple of weeks ago with a knee injury, and she's a 5th-year senior playing for UConn for 5 years. She just had so many surgeries. And it's really sad because she's just such a good soul. She keeps coming back, giving it 100%. And when she was a first-year student at UConn, they went to play Seton Hall, which was her father's high school, where he was college, where he was a superstar. And she went to play them as a first-year player, and she scored 28 points against them just to show what she could do as a first-year player. And now she is 4 years later with all these injuries. But we still got 8 or 9 good players, and including 3 first-year players who are getting a lot of time, and a 6'6" power forward center, not power forward, slender forward center, who doesn't play much, but I think she has a lot of skills. I know she has a lot of skills, and I know a lot about basketball. Not more than a pro, but I know a lot about basketball, and I've seen her play. This woman is fine. She's very slender. Her name is Amari Duberry. And she's probably a junior now, and she has great moves around the basket. She has great extension with her long arms. She's a pleasure to watch. She'll be on the court when we need her, and Gino knows it too. Everybody said she's going to transfer. She never transferred. She would have started if she transferred, but she stayed with us because she knows that Gino is teaching her for the long term, and a lot of Gino's coaches, even the ones who don't start, often become a lot of his players often become coaches, including the coach at Princeton, who's setting up all kinds of records now. And she's Carla Berube. She played for UConn, and she's a wonderful woman, and she's running a great program over there at Princeton basketball. And Tamika Williams coached, and so many players coach. Just one, and some of them come back. So Swift is coaching. She went to Harvard. She could have went to Harvard, but she turned it down. Molly Bent, I think her name is. She was offered Harvard to play basketball or UConn. She came to UConn because she wanted to be the best player she could be. Came to UConn. She never started. She's a good player, but not UConn starter quality. But what she did was she graduated and she got a coaching job right away, and then another coaching job right away. And she's coaching now, and now she's an extremely religious woman, and she preaches, but she's the finest thing you ever met. She's a wonderful, wonderful person, and she's coaching. And also Maria Conlon from Derby and Seymour, she was from both towns. She's coaching now, and she's into all sorts of commercial things. I think you can friend her on Facebook too. Brianna Turner's not coaching, I don't think, but you can call her. She had some great years for UConn. You can be her friend on Facebook. And it's a great, great bunch of Barbara Turner. She was. I don't know if she's still on Facebook. Nice people. But he recruits nice people. I give him credit for that. But that's it, baby, for all these phenomenal players. Also, the election coming up in a few months. That's sort of a mess now. Donald Trump looks like he's going to be the Republican nominee, and looks like he could beat Joe. Joe could beat him. Too early to call. We're not stupid. We don't make calls 8 months out when you don't know. But it's an interesting fight. Who's going to win that fight? And it's phenomenal watching the war of the old timers. And they're old timers, but a lot of young people took them on, and those younger people all got left at the side. So I saw that Joe Biden hasn't lost an election. He hasn't lost an election, I don't think, in his life, but I think he's been in elections almost constantly, except for 4 years he took off when his son died. He's been in elections almost constantly since 1970 or 1968. You know how long that is? That's 50 to 60 years. He won every election he was in. And that's hard to do because, he was in Delaware, which is half southern, half northern. And for 60 years in a row, he's been winning elections. Wow. 54 years, 58 years. I don't have the exact first date, but I do know they became a United States Senator in about 1972 election, which actually he became a senator in 73, but I think he ran in 72. And then in January he was anointed. They call it. He was inducted. He was formalized. Oh, thank you for listening. I hope you have a great, great time. Peace here, peace in the Middle East, peace all over. Oh God, enough of this war stuff. Ukraine needs peace. Screw Putin. The world was at peace, and he started going to kill all those Ukrainians who weren't doing nothing but eating nothing. They weren't doing nothing. I know it's bad English. They weren't doing nothing. They were eating dinner. They were out doing their farms. They have the best farms, the Ukrainians. They were working on their computers. Their computers made the Russian Air Force fly. So when Russia attacked them, all of a sudden they couldn't get their Air Force to fly right because their computers were all down. In Italian, we call that stunad. But what's his name? Vladimir Putin wanted to kill some Ukrainians and kidnap the babies. I know that's hard to believe, but Google it, because they don't have enough people in Russia. Russia doesn't have a lot of people, and they're losing people every year. So they wanted more babies. They took all these babies. They took the blonde, blue-eyed babies after they killed the parents and the families. That sounds ridiculous. Believe me, it's totally true. Totally true. Take a look. I can make things up, but I don't need to. The world is that weird. And Putin, you're the weirdest. The weirdest. Another one of your enemies jumped out a window. He didn't jump. They threw him out the window and died. Russia has the highest mortality for billionaires, which some of you might like. But the truth is that he had a lot of friends who he made billionaires, and some of them didn't like the war. Some of them wanted to keep some more of their money because they were all given kickbacks. But a bunch of them have been thrown out of hospital windows, poisoned with those cyanide, with those different kinds of poisons. And it's amazing. Even when they moved to England to be safe, people come up to them with an umbrella and stick them, and the next 3 months they're in the hospital and they die. He killed their kids too sometimes, shot them in the living rooms. Peace out. I said enough. Bye-bye.